の基本も知らない素人の万歳だ。こんなはずだよ。
見えない。僕の動きが全然見えない。人間がリブルプレイヤーがこんな動きをするなんて、これじゃまるであの時のカムイ。
So when you first think of an adventure, you would take into consideration that this person is within the depths of a fantasy world, living a life never before, as they are going to embark on a journey to seek strength, grow as a person, and achieve their goal. That alone speaks adventure, which is why I decided to make a video and recommend to you all 10 fantasy anime series where the main character is a weak adventurer but becomes overpowered. I'm super excited to cover a cool list like this, so if you're new around here, then make sure you are subscribed to the channel with the notifications bell turned on so you don't miss out, and also stay up to date on the latest anime news and recommendations at your doorstep. Now, without keeping any more of your time, let us begin with the video.
かわいそうだが、自らの実力を知り、絶望することになる。何？
We kick things off with the Ranking of the Kings, which is a very underrated anime series created by none other than Wit Studio, featuring a protagonist who will prove to the world that he has what it takes to rule the kingdom after he was said to become the next king. The thing is about Prince Boji is that he is deaf and a mute, so he can't really hear or speak, but along the way, he meets Kage, who is from the wiped out Shadow Clan from the past, and together embark on one of the best adventures to make Boji a lot more stronger and more reliable for the kingdom, so that they all can look up to him instead of laugh and underestimate his true talent.
バカな紙一重で。
もらった。はいや。とか言うと思った？
I honestly really enjoyed the hidden dungeon Only I Can Enter. Despite what others say about it, it has a lot of quality of attention to it, especially when it comes to its female characters like let's say Emma Brightness, who simply brightens your day whenever she's around. But on a serious note, this anime follows both Noir and Emma joining a hero academy to hone their abilities and become stronger, but also for Noir to discover a hidden dungeon no one has ever found and enter it to find a mysterious girl chained up, which grants Noir powerful abilities in exchange for LP points. And well, that's where the things get a little bit more spicy because of the way LP points are gained. Danmachi is one of my favorite fantasy anime series of a protagonist who starts off as a weakling and gets stronger over time. Belle and his goddess Hestia live in a rundown church as Belle very much hopes to become the greatest adventurer there ever was, but this journey alone is going to not be an easy one as it may seem. A large tower in the city of Orario is a dungeon with multiple floors, and adventurers venture into the catacombs and fight different monsters and complete different types of quests. Now Belle needs to actually work on his skills if he ever wants to be the best, as, you know, it is one adventure you definitely do not want to be missing out on.
デッドエンドだよ、ヒロ。だけど、てめえは現実以上にムカつくんだよ。
Full Dive RPG is quite a new fantasy series where a protagonist enters a virtual fantasy RPG world and begins one of the strangest but unique adventures I have ever seen. Everything around him in this world is actually very realistic, to the point where it starts to get more intense with every decision he makes. It's like real life, to be honest. But he accidentally managed to somehow kill his best friend at the very start, which caused him to have the worst luck and start in a video game history, and somehow needs to find a way to undo this curse that he has fallen under. He may be a weak protagonist, but he is actually quite the intelligent young man. But the thing is, not every person can be trusted in this game. Wolfrey is another fan favorite for so many, and it's a fantasy series taking place in an MMORPG game where a protagonist named Maple dislikes getting hurt in general, and so specs every single talent point that she gets purely into vitality, allowing her to become even super tankier to the point where she is unkillable or even invincible. Now she is pretty much in the front lines, equipped with a big shield, slow movement but very dependable front wall to protect her friends from danger that is yet to come. Even the best players in the game start to notice and acknowledge how a newbie player like her managed to rise the ranks quickly, which is very rare to see. Now season 2 is actually coming sometime soon, which is also the exciting part for this anime, and I can't wait to see the adventure continue.
ごめんね、聞かないんだ。
I think Radiant is heavily looked down on and may have its issues, like many people say, regarding, its story and also the protagonist being quite the dense and dumb as a rock. But if you put it that way, then it's not all that far from being quite similar to how Black Clover started and got so much more better over time. Radiant follows Seth, a boy who is cursed and wants to become the best sorcerer in the world to defeat the major threat that resides in this world called Nemesis. It's also like any typical shonen of, let's say, wanting to become Hokage or the Wizard King, and it actually does quite well in the aspect of getting a lot better, especially since it has a second season. Now give this a try and I'm sure you will not be disappointed.
Goblin ってこのグリムガルで一番弱いモンスターじゃねえのかよ。そうだよ、そのはずだけど認めたくない。ゴブリンって俺たちよか強くね。
Grimgar is quite the unique fantasy watch, as no protagonist is actually overpowered, but are all at somewhat equal strength, and the key factor for the show is that a group of friends who get teleported somewhere in a foreign land or a fantasy world and must work together to fight mobs if they ever want a chance to survive. It gets heavily relied on character growth and also friendship bonding, and it does get dark sometimes as things don't always go the way it should be meant. It starts out quite weak but does progress insanely well with great pacing and its overall great character variety, each having unique skills, strengths, and weaknesses as to why it is so important for them to work as a team rather than being alone.
大丈夫？立て。
Goblin Slayer may have its hate due to the way it started, but that's just the way it's meant to be, a dark fantasy series and an unforgivable road to your doom. A character who goes by the name of Goblin Slayer is a high-ranking adventurer as it may seem, but this person only goes for one type of target, and that is goblins. He fights nothing else, otherwise he potentially will get hurt since he is used to only killing goblins. He has no problems with them at all. People in many cases actually underestimate Goblin Slayer for taking on quests that have to do with weak mobs, but even goblins can be deadly if you aren't equipped with the proper gear to deal with them.
お前なすよりもゴブリンの方がよほど手強い。
強化の回魔力解放。
Next up on this list is Moonlit Fantasy, which is an isekai series of a guy who gets transferred to another world and gets bullied by the goddess for starters, and then sends him to the world with quite the powerful set of abilities he can use. However, to the eyes of many, and even for him, he remains at purely level 1, pretty much as a factor to hide his true strength. Not many know of his true abilities until the very final battle, but I really enjoy this anime so much. To, so many, it may have been another generic looking isekai with an overpowered protagonist, but it really has a lot of fun and cool events to offer to its viewers.
日本じゃない。弱肉強食の異世界だ。騙される甘っちょろいやつが悪いのだ。やってやる。よし、とりあえず成功。
Finally on this list we have is Konosuba, and you may be wondering to yourself, how on earth is any character in this anime overpowered? Well, it's quite simply due to Kazuma actually having one of the most powerful abilities early on in the series called Steal, which allows him to steal a woman's underwear, which in my eyes personally, it's an ability any man would ever want. Though this is more of a joke selection, and I thought it would be pretty funny to have it in here, but in all honesty, I've actually run out of anime to add on this list as to why I selected Konosuba in the first place. But hey, it was well worth adding in it, wasn't it?
我が前に滑よエクセプロージョン
Looks like this is the ending point, as the adventure has now come to a stop. So if you have reached the end of this point, then I'd like to thank you all for sticking around. And if you did enjoy, then make sure to drop a like, as I'd highly appreciate the support on my videos. And as always, I'll be seeing you all in the next one.